Welcome back to Film Note, everybody. My name is Sam Converse.
And my name is Jake Ditto.
And today we've got another episode of not quick movie reviews this time. Actually, we're going to be reviewing one single director. I noticed you put a picture of him in the background if you're watching on YouTube here. You'd like to explain who this man is?
That good sir is director Alfonso Cuarón, one of my favorite directors, and in my personal opinion, he is one of the best working directors in Hollywood today.
With his upcoming movie Roma.
Yep.
We can expect that soon.
Highly
anticipated.
That will be coming out December 14th, this Friday.
Oh, very soon for us if you're watching.
So I'm very excited. And also with The Wall, that's something we're going to be doing now. Every time I talk about a director or an actor or anybody in general.
We could put some posters in the background or something like that.
And so from last week, I was going to add Steve McQueen. Joaquin Phoenix, and Lynn Ramsey to that wall.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Okay, and so today, what we're going to be doing, we are going to be ranking and reviewing all 7 of his films leading up to Roma.
Awesome.
Yeah, and if you want to check out my review of Roma, that will be coming out next Monday. It will be on smnw.com.
Awesome. Go check it out.
Yep. So
what's up first?
Let's get into it. Number 7. My least favorite movie he has made is called Great Expectations.
I've seen this one, okay.
This came out in 1998 and is based off the Charles Dickens novel. And this was a modernized version of this novel. And the movie isn't bad. The problem is that there's no story arc to it. That's the best way.
So I've read the book. I'm not a fan of the book. It's a good book. Charles Dickens is an amazing author. It's not my thing. So it seems like it would be hard when reading the book to be put into movie form, kind of, to have it hold up to the book, you know. And they always say the movie will never be as good as the book in anything. So yeah, continue.
And that's the whole thing. I was watching this and I felt like it felt a lot like The Great Gatsby, where it would be a very good book. I'm just watching the movie, I could tell that the book was really good.
Right.
But the movie wasn't that good. It didn't translate that well on screen. Also, there's a character that Robert De Niro played. I felt like he didn't add a lot to the movie. I felt like you could have taken him out completely and the story would have been nearly the same. But Ethan Hawke, Gwyneth Paltrow, they're fine in the movie. I think that there are glimpses of some stuff that he would do later on in his films. So that's something I kind of looked at and I enjoyed, that you could see some of the precursors. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. Wasn't really much of a fan of this movie, but I didn't hate it either.
Yeah, cool. What do we have for number 6?
Number 6, this was his very first film he ever made.
Oh,
and
really?
It is in Spanish, so I might mess this up a little bit.
So it was his first film, but it's the second worst. So that's pretty good, you know, if it made at least, not dead last.
Almost top 5. This movie is Solo con tu pareja, I think.
Do you know what that means?
It translates to something about lover. I forgot what it is. So this is a really unique story. It's about this man who's very promiscuous.
Is it all in Spanish?
It is.
Okay, subtitles needed.
Subtitles are needed. It is a foreign language film, like we just said, and it's about this man who is very promiscuous and he hooks up with a lot of women, but he messes with the wrong woman, and this woman happens to work in a hospital, and so she falsely diagnoses him with AIDS.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. The problem with that
you don't have to do him dirty like that.
The problem with that, though, is that this movie is an hour and a half long, and it takes an hour before you get to that point.
Ooh. Pacing.
Yeah, very bad. Kind of like the same issues with the last one. Just it took way too long to get to the whole plot of the movie. And just, that was kind of rough.
Yeah. Be careful what you say. Alfonso's watching over you.
I love you, Alfonso. We'll get into your greatness later.
Perfect. Okay.
He looks so good in that picture.
I know, right? He's a very handsome man.
Yes. But back to this movie. Again, you could see some of the glimpses that he would do later on, which I thought was really neat. This is also a comedy, and I felt like not all the comedy landed, but the times it did land, it landed really good. Like, it was
so it's like a weird rom-com almost, like
I wouldn't call it a rom-com.
Not a rom-com. Okay.
I wouldn't call it a rom-com. And then they're like, for example, one of the funny things is that they keep on talking about this American woman. This woman's all over the headlines. She put her dog in a microwave to try to dry it off.
Okay.
And they keep on going back to that, and then like suicide's a big theme of the movie, and so towards the end of the movie, the lead character, after he gets diagnosed with AIDS, tries to put his head in a microwave to kill himself.
Okay. That I can understand why this is number 6 on your list.
There's some good stuff, but there's some not so great stuff.
Right.
Number 5 is called A Little Princess, and this movie has been almost forgotten about, I'd say.
Yeah, I've definitely never heard of it.
Yeah, and a lot of people haven't heard of this. I think it came out in 95. Not too sure about it, but yeah, it came out in 95, and it's about this little girl who comes from India. She's a white girl, but all of her family lived in India, and then they went to the UK to have her, so that the father could go to war, and then she'd go to school while he was in the war. And she has no mother. Anyways, the story for like the first hour, I was not invested in it at all, and then something happened, and it came full circle, and I was like, oh my god, this is a really great movie.
Wow, huh? Maybe that was the point. Maybe he wanted to confuse you. Okay.
Yeah, no. But, I mean, for being a children's film, Alfonso Cuarón is bringing up so many great things that are really valuable to children. For example, race relations and being able to accept everybody.
Definitely.
Feminism. That's a huge thing. That's a very big thing. And he was addressing this stuff to little kids before that was really a big thing that was being addressed to them. And I really appreciated everything he was saying with this movie. The only problem is that it took so long to get to that point. And I don't know, it was kind of a hard watch until you got to that point, and I really enjoyed it. Also, they used some CGI in this movie, and it is god-awful.
What year?
Again, 95.
95, yeah.
Yeah, it's some really bad CGI.
That was like right before like the CGI got a little better, you know, like Star Wars in the late 90s and stuff and everything. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, not too good. But now, we're going to get into his great movies.
Number 4.
I love these next...
So you have a top 4.
I have a top 4.
No top 3, just top 4. And maybe top 5 with Roma. Who knows?
Possibly. I have very high expectations for Roma from what I've heard from critics.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Number 4 on this list is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Okay. And I feel like I should have watched this.
Yeah.
Because everyone watches the Harry Potter regardless of you being like a book nerd or anything.
Yeah.
I never read the books, never watched the movies. What can I say?
Yeah, some people say that the books are better than the movies, but I would disagree. Especially with this movie. I absolutely love this movie. I would say it's not my favorite Harry Potter movie, but I would say it's the best made Harry Potter movie because Alfonso Cuarón is behind the camera.
Oh, okay.
The stuff he does with editing in this film and the cinematography and how he helms everything and makes it complete, he does that better than any other director. Like, for example, I believe 5 of the movies he directed, he did for the editing on. Like, he edited those. And then with Roma coming up, he wanted Emmanuel Lubezki, who has done the cinematography for, I believe, 6 of his 7 movies prior to Roma. And Emmanuel Lubezki had to do other work for a different movie, and so he couldn't do it. So he was just like, whatever, I'm going to do it myself. And so, and so he just
impressive.
He's really talented, and that's the thing I appreciate about him so much. He just knows how to work in all the elements of film and make them come together, and he does that. And he does that in this Harry Potter film better than any of the other Harry Potter movies. I mean,
does it? In your opinion, is it the best Harry Potter movie? If we're talking Harry Potter movies now.
Again, I think it's the best made, but I would say my favorite is Deathly Hallows Part 2, just because it has that emotional punch. But if we're talking about which one's made better, no doubt it's Prisoner of Azkaban.
Really?
No doubt. I do not have a single complaint with this movie.
Are all the Harry Potters directed by different directors?
No. The first 2 Harry Potter movies were directed by Chris Columbus, and then the second one was directed by... the first 2 were directed by Chris Columbus. The third one was by Alfonso Cuarón. The fourth one was by Mike Newell. And then all the Harry Potter movies and the Fantastic Beasts movies have been directed by David Yates.
Oh, okay. Okay, so does this movie stand out from?
Oh, for sure.
Like that much? Like it's that much? Like you think it's that much better? Like visually, and
it's not even visually. It's just that, like, no other Harry Potter movie does the stuff that is done in this movie, and part of that can be given to the book.
Right.
But it just, the look of certain things. For example, in the very beginning of the movie, Harry Potter goes on this bus to get to a certain house, and this bus is like a wizarding bus, and so it goes super fast. It can get super skinny, and however it needs to go through traffic as needed. And just the way he manipulates stuff in post-production is so interesting and so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. Also, there is a time traveling sequence in the last act with Hermione and Harry, and the filmmaking there just comes together so well, and I just love everything about this movie.
I think I should watch it then.
You really should.
I feel like
you should just watch all the Harry Potter movies.
I know. I feel like Harry Potter would be something I like. I just never did. I never just chose to watch them. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was weird.
It's my favorite movie franchise.
Really?
Actually. Well, yeah. I don't feel like there's been a movie franchise that consistently makes movies that are that great.
Interesting. At Marvel, at DC. Okay.
Oh, yeah, no.
Number 3.
We're not even going to get on that.
Okay. Next episode, maybe.
Number 3 is Gravity. Now,
I've seen this.
This movie,
George Clooney, Sandra Bullock.
Yes, I was already a big fan of it, but I actually just rewatched it this weekend, and I picked up on so many more things I didn't even pick up on the first time.
Was this your second watch, or like maybe third or fourth?
So I watched it once in theaters, and then I watched it again in IB Film, and then I just watched it again last weekend.
Cool. Yeah.
And
why is this number 3?
Well, here's the thing: is that whenever it gets to this top 4, it's honestly just about personal enjoyment. Because if I had to give grades, like, because I give grades on my reviews.
Right.
I'll just actually go back and give all these movies grades. So, Great Expectations, I'd give like a B-. And then Solo, whatever, that's a B-. A Little Princess is a B+. And then from 4 to 1, it's all A+. I do not have any complaints with these next 4. The only reason I would say in ranking these 4 is just off personal enjoyment and what I saw my first reaction to watching it and previous encounters to these movies.
Right. Okay.
And so to Gravity, whenever I was watching it this weekend, there were so many things I didn't pick up on. Like, this is a movie about grief, not a space movie. It's about how Sandra Bullock deals with the loss of her child, and then how she again has to, like, it's about moving on. Just like she has to move on from George Clooney, she knows that she has to get back to Earth and that she can't spend time going back in the past. She needs to keep on moving forward. Right. And I love that. And then there's so much
deep.
And this also might be some of my favorite cinematography from Emmanuel Lubezki, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
There's so much symbolism in certain shots. Like, for example, whenever Sandra Bullock actually gets into one of the space stations for the first time, and she's like finally not in space, there's a beautiful shot of her in the fetal position, and she's like rolling around in zero gravity, and then like there are some hoses, I think, and it makes it look like there's an umbilical cord coming out of her.
I never would have known. I never would have thought of it that way.
It's such a beautiful shot, and there are just so many shots like that throughout this entire thing. Sandra Bullock is incredible in this movie. George Clooney, for like the 10 minutes he's in, it's really good. Also, this is easily his best paced movie. This is only an hour and a half long, and it felt like 30 minutes. Personally.
Impressive. Very impressive. That's cool, too.
The editing is incredible in this movie. He won Best Editing, and again, Alfonso Cuarón does his own editing.
Yeah. So, was that 2009?
13,
okay. God, I was way off.
Yeah, this is actually the last movie he's made. He's not made one since 2013.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is why I'm so excited for Roma to come out. But I just love everything about this. And then the special effects, too, are incredible.
It's a space odyssey. It's a movie. It's awesome.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about is the very first shot is a 15-minute long take.
Oh. I don't know why I wouldn't have thought that. Maybe just like well-placed cuts or like CGI or something that makes it look nice. But when you say it like that, it's like, whoa.
I didn't even realize that until we were in IB film, and Mr. Dent said, "Okay, look for the first take. It's a 15-minute long take." Wow. And I watched it, and I was like, "Oh my god,
he's right.
How did he do that?" Like, wow. There's so much going on in the frame, and then with all the CGI, oh my god, this is just a beautiful movie.
It'd be crazy.
It really is.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2.
Number 2 is Children of Men.
Not seen this.
Yes. This is a movie that I heard about, I want to say, whenever I was like 12, 13 years old. And I never knew the plot of it until about 3 or 4 years ago. And when I heard the plot, I was like, I'm never going to watch this because I thought it sounded stupid. Mm-hmm. And this was before I really got into film criticism and before I knew who Alfonso Cuarón was. And this movie is about how it's in a dystopian future, and women have been infertile, or what's the word? They haven't been fertile?
Yeah, infertile.
Yeah. They haven't been fertile for like 18 years.
Whoa.
And so no kids have been born for 18 years.
Whoa.
And there is a lot of riots going on. There's a bunch of civil unrest, and there's like uprisings that are happening. And I don't know why, but whenever I first heard this, I did not like this plot at all. I just felt like it was odd. And then I just watched it like a month ago, and it just blew me away.
It does sound weird. Like, is it a dystopian you said? It was like, some dystopian movies seem kind of weird like that. So I can see where you come from. Like, hearing it, it's like, okay, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it made number 2.
It did make number 2. And again, just back to what I was saying about Gravity, the way he's able to work with all the film elements to create just an amazing movie is really why this movie is so high on my list.
Awesome. Yeah.
I could talk on and on about this movie. And then Michael Caine. This movie stars Clive Owen, Julianne Moore, Michael Caine.
Okay. And I recognize a few.
Mm-hmm. And the reason I actually found out about this movie, and I'm going to get into some spoilers here.
Spoiler alert for any of you watching before you can click away now.
Mm-hmm. I was watching a Watch Mojo video. They make top 10s, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And they had a movie, or the ranking was top 10 most unexpected deaths in movie history. And it was Julianne Moore. And there was like a 5-minute long take. That's the other thing. Alfonso Cuarón does the long takes better than any other director.
Wow, yeah.
Like, they're so beautiful that you almost don't even tell that it's a long take, and it just looks so natural.
I mean, that's the goal, I guess.
And in Children of Men, he does it better than in any of his other movies because he has so many of them.
Right.
And but the one that's the most famous is the car long take where Julianne Moore gets killed. And the reason that was what was on the list of most unexpected deaths because Julianne Moore was one of the top billed actresses, or just top billed actors in general. She's one of the biggest actresses at the time. She's Academy Award winning actress. Mm-hmm. She dies 30 minutes into the movie. The movie's over 2 hours long.
Wow.
So it was very, very shocking to see her get shot right there.
Wow. Huh.
And it was all done in a beautiful long take inside of a car. And
I mean, that's risky. I mean, like, when you see that she's one of the highest paid, and then, whoa, maybe she'll come back. Who knows? I mean...
No. Whenever you see her get killed, she's not coming back.
Yeah, okay. That's, whoa. Yeah. That's heavy. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Also, Michael Caine is in this movie. He's one of the most lovable movie characters I've ever seen.
Wow, huh.
He's like a pot-smoking hippie. He's in a really secluded place. He's off the grid. I remember his first encounter with Clive Owen. He makes him smoke weed that tastes like strawberries, and whenever you blow it out, you taste strawberries.
Wow, that's trippy.
It was so funny. He even, just everything around him, his aura. Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite Michael Caine performances.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last and not least.
Yes.
Here we go, everybody.
This movie, you probably never heard of it. It's on Netflix, and it's called Y Tu Mama Tambien. And that translates to And Your Mother Too, which actually sets up to one of the funniest lines I've ever heard in a movie. But this movie's not really a comedy. This movie is a movie about... It is another... Spanish film or Mexican film. Mm-hmm. And it is about two boys who are very promiscuous, just like his other Mexican film. Mm-hmm. They and they end up finding one of the boys' cousins. They go to a wedding, and he finds his cousin, and they see his wife there, the cousin's wife, and they find her super beautiful, and they're talking to her like, hey, do you want to go to this certain place off the coast of Mexico? And then her husband ends up cheating on her, and so she decides to go with the two boys down in Mexico. And
sounds pretty straightforward so far.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the story.
Wow.
Yeah, but just where the story takes it, where Alfonso Cuarón takes the story, is so incredible. The story is so beautiful. It's so realistic too. Like, there are so many beautiful things about this movie, and what makes it so good is how subdued it is. The thing with the last three movies I just mentioned, Children, Men, Gravity, Harry Potter, there's a ton of special effects. There's something big going on in all of those movies.
Definitely.
There's a lot going on in the frame. With this movie, it's so subtle, and he does not do much with it at all. It's literally a car ride, and then them going into a hotel for almost all the movie. But what they're talking about and the relationships that are set up, it's incredible. This is actually might be my favorite screenplay ever that he wrote. And not just that he wrote, but of all time.
Wow. That's a heavy statement. It sounds like one of the most important on the list. Like, it seems like a very important, like, meaningful movie. That's awesome.
And another thing that this reminds me of, one of my other favorite directors is Guillermo del Toro, who, a lot like Alfonso Cuarón, a Hispanic director from Mexico, who started their career making Mexican films and then eventually making American films. This movie came out in 2001, and if you look at the movie right before, it was Great Expectations. It was the lowest on my ranking. That came out in 1998, and before that he had made A Little Princess, which is another American movie, but nobody talks about it today. And I don't know if it actually was successful whenever it got released, but if nobody's talking about it today, I can't imagine that it was something that was blowing everybody's minds.
Right.
And so he was kind of almost in a rut, and if he made another bad movie, it could have possibly, nobody could be looking at him as the director he is today. And so he goes ahead and he makes this incredible movie, and it gets his name back up there. And then right after that movie, he makes Harry Potter, Gravity, Children of Men, then Gravity.
Wow.
And it's like the same thing with Guillermo del Toro. He made two very good Mexican-produced movies, Cronos and Devil's Backbone. Then he goes to make American movies with Mimic. He made some good ones, like the two Hellboy movies, and then which I actually really love those movies, but he also made Blade 2. But nobody was really talking about him as being this very successful Oscar-worthy director until he made Pan's Labyrinth in 2006, and then from there on, people were looking at him differently.
Wow.
And that's the same thing with Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah, it sounds like Alfonso Cuarón really is dependent on, like, his... What am I trying to say? I feel like he does a really good job at, like, using the story to, like, push the movie and pace the movie as opposed to, like, cinematography. But at the same time, his amazing cinematography, according to what you're saying. Yeah. Like in Gravity, too, of course.
Yeah. And it's just, again, like I said earlier, the way that he is able to craft all the film elements mixed with an amazing screenplay that he writes just really elevate his films to the point where they're just amazing. I don't know how else to put it. This is why I think he is one of the greatest living directors today. And I think once he retires, he has to be considered one of the top 5 greatest directors ever.
That's a big statement.
I mean,
you're going to stick with that?
I'm going to stick with that. I mean, okay, the top 4 movies on my list are 4 of my favorite movies ever made. And by the way critics are receiving Roma, I don't know how I could say that he won't go down as one of the top 5 greatest directors ever.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of Film Note. Next week we'll be back with you with another episode, maybe a quick movie review, something else.
Possibly,
we don't really know. We'll report back on Roma, some other things.
We're definitely going to be talking about Roma. Again, check out my movie review for Roma.
Well, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Thank you.